Hello there my Jedi and Sith friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your friend and your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today, as we approach the next two episodes of Maul Shadow Lord, I wanted to do a deep dive discussion into the character of Devon Izara, the Twi'lek Jedi Padawan who survived Order 66 with her master Iko Diodaki, and who is fated to become Maul's new apprentice. And in terms of the latest Star Wars theories and conversations, Devon really is the talk of the town. That being said, I do believe there are a couple of really bad misconceptions that need to be addressed. And this all goes back to the major bit of speculation that Devon is going to become the canon version of Darth Talon, a fan favourite from the expanded universe. And with Dave Filoni a month ago admitting that this show is inspired by George Lucas's unused sequel treatments, it does sound like that theory is more or less confirmed. However, it should be noted that any similarities the two characters share are probably going to be broad stroke archetypes, not specific details. For instance, I very much doubt Devon is literally going to call herself Talon, let alone take on the title of Darth. Maul is no longer a Sith. But interestingly enough, and here is where some of the similarities come in, you can say the same thing of Talon and her master Darth Krayt. They were not part of the conventional Bainite Sith. They were members of the One Sith, a religious order of Force users that were devoted to the teachings of the Gen Jedi, dark Jedi who were exiled by the Jedi Order of old. And they didn't follow the rule of two, they followed the doctrine of the rule of one true powerful Sith, and his underlings. And within this new Sith order there were different roles. There were personal assassins known as Hands, this is what Darth Talon was. Then there were Fists, supreme commander of the military, the Voice, which was Darth Krayt's second in command, Inquisitor, Lawmaster, and then the Troopers of the Sith. But at the end of the day, there was only one at the very top. I suppose you could say that Maul's gang has a very similar hierarchy. He's got his confidant, Rook Kast, he's got henchmen, Mandalorians, and now Devon. In the same way Talon served Krayt, Devon is a weapon to be used by Maul. Krayt once said to Talon, "I am your life. I am your death. You have passed your final test without flinching. I name you Darth Talon, and you now will be one of my hands, my own personal weapon, an assassin. Henceforth, you will take orders only from me, report only to me, nobody else. I am your master." So that is certainly a parallel I can see them drawing upon. However, my friends, as I said, I think there are some crucial differences. Notably, Devon is already a bit more complex than Talon. I'm a huge fan of the EU, which is now just known as Legends, but I find that people are often so distracted by her appearance, which is by the way striking and awesome, that they forget Talon wasn't the most interesting Sith. She's loyal, unquestioning, didn't show too much internal conflict, and she has very little philosophical individuality. Whereas with Devon, I reckon Dave is building her up to be something more. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm a huge EU apologist, but sometimes just because it's pre-Disney, it doesn't necessarily make it better. As for Darth Krayt, some people really don't like him, but I loved him. He's a great example of what not to do as a Sith. He's so flawed, but at the same time so unique, always thinking himself to be more than he is, biologically in terms of his species, but also in terms of taking older Sith traditions and adding his own personal twist. Truly on the opposite end of the Sith spectrum to someone like Darth Sidious. We're only 2 episodes in, and Maul Shadow Lord has already given us a lot of clues about the way in which the season is going to play out. Something very clever about the first couple of episodes is the way the writers brilliantly depict key differences in the ideologies of the Jedi, of Devon and Master Iko Diodaki, and Maul, a former Sith, who still uses the dark side as a weapon, but whose outlook and beliefs are very different to what they once were. Let's begin with the Jedi. You have an old principled master who will not bend or break the Jedi code of ethics, even to simply prevent his own starvation. Someone who is dyed in the wool from the old ways of the Jedi Temple, whose allegiance to the will of the Force has been very apparent in the show so far. One of the best examples of this is when Master Daki used a powerful Force push to derail Maul's gang and initially tried to save Devon. But when Maul comes face to face with the old Jedi Master, instead of confronting him one-on-one, Maul breaks a local bridge, causing a pedestrian civilian disturbance. I saw someone ask why he would do such a thing and not just, ignite his lightsaber and fight him. And the answer is that Maul is kind of a genius. He understands the Jedi's weakness. Their devotion is not to one another, but to their code. They're supposed to be selfless guardians of peace and justice, and so Maul knew that Diodaki would choose to protect the lives of the innocent before himself or his Padawan. It's kind of like what the Grand Inquisitor said in the Kenobi show. The Jedi's compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi code is like an itch. He cannot help it. And we see the same in the 2024 novel The Living Force. That selflessness and giving your life for others is the definition of unconditional love. And it's used as a rebuttal to when people say that the Jedi were not allowed to love. Maul has become an expert at both the Jedi and Sith tendencies, while now he is neither. And this is what makes Maul so different. No longer Darth, he understands the pitfalls and philosophies of each Force religion. And this brings up another question I saw, which is why does Maul choose Jedi to be his apprentices? Obviously not Savage, but later in the timeline with Devon, and then further down the line with Ezra, why does he go for Jedi? Aside from craving a genuine bond and trying to replicate what he had with Savage, part of the reason is that the Jedi have a foundation that makes them useful to his cause. They have a basis, a connection with the Force that he can exploit, but his frustration is their unwillingness to use the dark side. That's what he tries to push them to do. Obviously, it didn't work for Ezra. Ezra had one of the best Jedi Masters you could have, and even though he was tempted, he was brought back and really had love and support to ground him. I don't think the same can be said for Devon, who I believe will turn to the dark side, because for Maul, both the light and the dark are tools. And even in the second episode of Shadow Lord, we see Maul frustrated that Devon is restricting herself and her training by thinking like a Jedi. He tells her, if you want to escape, you can. That's down to you. And because she eventually does, all on her own, she's taken that small but significant step. Maul believes that these Padawans can be so much more, and Maul has a great opportunity to mold Devon, because she is so full of anger and pain over what happened during Order 66. Because with Master Daki, I don't think he allows her to express it, to really let loose, to unleash the anguish. But this is where Maul can exploit her pain, because Maul is offering Devon something which Master Daki isn't. She's different from a master. She's more impulsive and less rigid. And the first 2 episodes signal to me the opportunity for Maul to swoop in and advertise himself as the perfect mentor, someone who can give Devon what she truly wants, deep down, which is revenge. They have a shared goal of fighting Sidious. What do you guys think? Are you looking forward to the next 2 episodes on Monday? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you always.